All right, all right. I see what you're doing out there, chat. Ah, look at this. And Dukasoft got us also there. Yeah. Yeah, all right. All right. Let's take a look. Let's get into this. Let me head right over here and get into things. There we are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be in your part of the world.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It is so good to see you. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is August 12th, 2023. 2023? We lost 2 years there. Try it again. Today is August 12th, 2025, and we're going to write a little bit of code today. How you doing there, chat room? Frozen Fusion, hello, good to see you. Let me bring you in the chat room. They're right over here. How's it going out there? We're broadcasting live on Twitch and YouTube. I didn't put out an announcement this morning on the social medias. It was like, you know what, let's just go live. Let's just hit the button, do the thing, and let's go. So, let me welcome in. Let me say hello here. Dukasoft, hello. Napalm Codes, good morning and happy Tuesday to you. CTI Geek is tuned in from Virginia. Patty Boy, how you doing out there in Glasgow? Napalm with the resub.
Napalm Codes just resubscribed for 37 months. There once was a man named Fritz who squashed all his bugs with well-placed commits.
I did.
Happy Tuesday, friend.
Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you so much. Walter as well.
Walter just resubscribed for 65 months.
65 months. 5+ years there. Thank you so much for that. We got a hype train started. Thank you so much for 3 years from Napalm. More than 5 years from Walter. CTI Geek here chiming in.
Geek just resubscribed for 27 months.
Oh, doggy. We're over 2 years with CTI Geek. Thank you so much. That hype train is into level 2 over there on Twitch. Thanks so much for the support. Really appreciate it. I go and put that back into all the cool things that we're doing here on the channel. Some Azure fees. And we're going to be doing a lot more in AI capabilities here on stream. More on that coming up as we talk about things with TagzApp here today. Let me finish greeting folks. Patty Boy, how you doing there in Glasgow? Let me see. Skynet, yes, Skynet is running. Absolutely. That's Charlie. You might know Charlie, right? We can bring up Charlie here. There's the message there. Let me see here. Kiss my pixels with the resub there to kick things off. 19 months. Hello. Eddie Dre, how's it going there? PowerShell Freak with the 66 months.
PowerShell_Freak just resubscribed for 66 months.
Thank you so much. 5.5 years with us. Whew. That is phenomenal. Frozen Fusion, how you doing there? Harsh, good evening to you. Welcome. It's great to have you join us here today. Ernesto, my fave tech over there on YouTube. Happy Tuesday to you. Sam Ruby in Rochester, New York. Did it plot Rochester? No. So interesting. The morning from syntax isn't getting picked up there. Whoa! PowerShell Freak with the gift subs.
PowerShell_Freak just gifted 5 subs.
5 gift subs in the channel. Thank you so much, PowerShell Freak. That is very kind. Big congratulations to Motown Andy, Masnon, Vlaquel, Ida Hoagie. Hey, Hoagie got a sub. And Peace Frog 71. Congratulations, you got gift subs from our friend PowerShell Freak. Thank you so much. Wow, we are into level 3 on the hype train here. Fantastic. Napalm asking anything with Charity St. Jude this year. So I wasn't able to do St. Jude in May, and I went through some of the personal issues that I had that kept me from being able to do that. I am going to be taking off from work in December, and St. Jude does have a December Creator Challenge month. I'll re-engage with them in December, and we'll do a drive with them at that point. I'm in that time zone right now, that time frame where I'm done the spring conference season. We had a couple things here over the summer we had to take care of, and we're getting ready for the fall conference season. That's .NET Conf the second week of November. I have 2 conferences back to back in October that I'm going to be speaking at. I'll be at Dev Intersection in October 7 in Orlando, Florida. I'll be in Lisbon, Portugal for the Azure Dev Summit, I think it's called, the week after. So I think it's the 13th and 14th. I'll be in Lisbon, Portugal, teaching a couple sessions there. If you're in Europe, I don't get to Europe that frequently. It's my second trip to Europe this year. That never happens. I was in Stockholm back in February. We're going to be in Lisbon in October. If you can make it to that event, I'd love to see you. So, Leshki, how you doing there? Hello. Welcome in, friend. Mythin, hello to you too. Jean Valjean, that's coder 24601 to you. How you doing? Are you the only one getting stutters? I haven't dropped any frames. So try and refresh a little bit there. Hey, Code with Sean, good morning to you. Hello from Virginia Beach. That should have picked up Virginia Beach on that. Let me copy that into my list of location text to test with, and we'll take a look at those here. So, last week I was at where was I? I was in Redmond for a couple days doing Visual Studio Live. I taught a workshop, the .NET Aspire workshop that you saw on this stream at that event. So folks got to see me in person, talk through things, interact, all that stuff, right? That's the benefit of coming out to those in-person events. I taught a intermediate session that was about an hour 15. That was more or less just a rush through of everything that we did in in the workshop, the boot camp. Fantastic session. Really enjoyed delivering that. But it quite literally is breakneck speed. Let me show you all the features of .NET Aspire really, really quick. So the .NET Aspire team liked that session. They were sitting in the front row and had some kind words about it. So very much appreciate that. And then we did a session Thursday. I took the weekend. Oh my gosh, Phil with the resub.
Phil Vesey just resubscribed for 50 months.
Thank you so much. 50 months, that's just over 4 years. Thank you so much for that support. Mythin said, see me in person? Yes, you get a chance to see me in person. I wouldn't call me a celebrity. I'm a internet personality. Let's go there. So this weekend I took some time and I went camping. I did not go camping at the Overlook Hotel. Can I run the hat? Can somebody run the hat command there in chat? So it went up to the Pennsylvania Poconos, spent some time just quiet out there. Here, I'll run the hat command. Fine. I'll do it. There you go. Accessing visual sensors. There you go, Charlie. There you go. And right, Devitt.
The analysis is complete.
Oh,
Overlook Hotel hat has been identified with high confidence.
Good. And what is it? Which is not part of Fritz's known collection. That's right. Fits into the pop culture category due to its connection to The Shining. That's right. Charlie got it right there. You better believe it. And it repeated the message again. I keep fixing that and it keeps putting it back in there. All right. CTI Geek, yes, you have met me in person. It is a thing that can happen. This is true. Very true. Let me see here. And yeah, that link broke there in on Twitch. Let's see here. Napalm met me twice. Meetup, rare one in Pittsburgh. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's been a while since I've been to Pittsburgh. Somebody suggested that I should visit Pittsburgh again and make it out there for an event. We even had an opportunity to do a boot camp there, and it never materialized. Ruben, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate you joining us. Looking forward. Hey, drop us a line where you're watching from. Be as accurate or as inaccurate as you'd like in chat. We'll place a pin for you on our map here. But here, I'll go over to the map. We can share a little bit of that out here. There, we've got some folks watching in North America, particularly in the States. We've got some folks in the UK watching that have shared their locations. This is what we're going to be updating and working on today. This map needs a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of tuning. We're going to dive in and improve this a little bit and pull this out and put it into our application, our TagzApp application, so that other folks can start to use it. Other folks can start to contribute to it by making this open source. Let me zoom in. I see we got a bunch of folks there in the States. There we go. So it places right for as accurate or as inaccurate as you share. Right, and I will help out. There we go. Oh my goodness. Alou with a resub.
Luke Thedrigan just resubscribed for 30 months. Oh,
30
and
months.
Hello from 30 months.
Hello to you.
Coffee Aluth code.
Thank you so much. Dukasoft is watching from Denmark. Is it Lucas? Watching from Kuwait? We should have a couple more pins popping up there. There you go. The red hats, of course, for the folks watching on YouTube. Purple hats for folks watching on Twitch. And if I set your location, you're going to get a little C# icon. If you're a subscriber, you're going to get a little, on Twitch, you'll get a little rainbow hat icon up there. So we're going to make this a little bit more flexible. We're going to do some updates here. I already got your location. Oh, yeah, we already got that one. Aris, how you doing there? In Greece, we got a pin there. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing and helping test the map. We're going to do some work on the relative grouping here so that when we do get a little bit closer, this grouping, particularly here in the States, isn't quite as tight there because Knoxville right over here, that's not bad. Springfield, Missouri, and Tulsa, yeah, that kind of makes sense to group them. But I feel like these could be broken out a little bit when we're zooming in here. So we'll tweak and tune this a little bit. But importantly, I'm going to break this out. Oh my gosh, Ruben! Ah, thank you for the sub. Really appreciate the subscription. Thank you. And yeah, we put that back into some of the things that we do here on stream. You're being the only one in Michigan for now is neat. There you go. Yeah. So, and I want to make sure that you see when I release the source code for this that your privacy is respected. Okay? It does not. It remembers your screen name just so that we don't duplicate entries for you. But it's your screen name and whatever text you wrote into chat for your location. That's it. Yeah, you did get a sub hat there in Florida. I will. You know what? I wonder if it grabbed that because you're a VIP. I will add that as something to take a look at. Hey, kiss my pixels. You're in Bucharest. Let's see if it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got a pin there, and a couple pins showing up in Europe, and we've got our friend Lucas there in Kuwait. Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a failover switch statement where it looks at the various tags that somebody has on their chat message as they're coming in. And like the last failover is, well, if they're on Twitch and they have some other tag on there that isn't moderator, make them a subscriber. So, yeah, Jean Valjean popping up there. And Weird Beard Dev showing up in Virginia Beach, of course. So, yeah, some of the grouping at this zoom level is a little bit aggressive, and we should be able to tune that. But importantly, first, I want to take the map, the geolocator, and the map, all the components around the UI and the geolocator, and break those out into a class library. I'll publish that into the TagzApp application, and then we'll start tweaking and updating it, and I'll grab that same code and reference it directly back in Charlie so that it's using the same code in both locations. So, Wookie hole? Wookie hole. Really? 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 Bunch of friends watching up in the UK. Fantastic. Let me kick off the map tour so we can share a little bit. So, I definitely want to get through and get this working a little bit better, a little bit easier, so that I can share and use this in TagzApp and on other streams. And that brings me to the next thing that I want to share with you. I'm going to get the Stream Beats Synthwave playlist running here, and then we'll talk about that next topic. Let's start here with, this is called The Shifting Tide. This is music that's DMCA free. It's royalty free. Listen to it wherever you'd like. Check it out at streambeats.com. Big thanks to Harris Heller and his team of creators for the music we're listening to today. I've got to wire up my old commands. I don't have them wired up to the playback yet. I do have a screen to actually do those animations and messages coming back. So if we try boom, right, that should work. Or not. Right? No. Well, maybe I got this just flat out not working. All right. So I got some work to do here.
Alrighty then.
That one worked. So is it going to work over here? No. So I've got some work to do on these. But things like Bazinga, we're going to get in there. A fireworks animation, the applause sound, these are all going to get loaded in here, and we'll have various features that between channel points, between cheers, and just straight commands, you're going to be able to trigger various effects and things. Yeah.
Science has proven that your coding approach violates several laws of logic.
No, it doesn't.
Also, there's no cake in the break room.
Sorry, Charlie. Sorry. Thank you. So, very cool. Thank you so much for folks sharing their messages here. But we're going to break this out. We're going to get this moving somewhere. And like I said, I was going towards, before I got distracted, talking about animations. I want to take this to other channels that I broadcast on. Now, you know that I occasionally broadcast on some of the Microsoft channels, right? When I'm doing work. Right when they're paying me. But I'm also going to be appearing on the Gunner channel soon. I had some talks with their folks. They wanted me to stream today, but they disappeared on me. And the final setup stuff, they're like, we're nowhere to be found. So all of a sudden they started ghosting me. And don't you hate that when you're sending messages to somebody and all of a sudden, like, they stop, like mid-email thread? It's like, what do I do now? So I was going to be streaming there today, and it's going to be rescheduled. Because there's like a half dozen dates they wanted me to do in August here, and something happened to their stuff.
I know what it's like to lose code.
Oh, do you?
To feel so desperately that your logic is correct yet to fail nonetheless.
Well, maybe you failed, Charlie, but I don't. Moving on. So the other place that you're going to be able to find me tonight, if you're in the States, if you're on the West Coast of the States, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to be co-hosting? I think that's the right word. A slots stream, a slot machine gambling stream, talking about sports, talking about pop culture, over on the Slot Squad channel. You're going to be able to find me on Twitch TV, the Slot Squad. There we go. I'll be over there tonight, 9 p.m., for a show that we call Slot Wars. Here's the deal. Our friend Ellie Face, you see her stop by every now and again. She's a moderator here. She's one of the co-hosts over there, and between her and the luckiest man alive, Hoagie, right? That's of course his screen name, but Hoagie is quite literally the luckiest man I know. He's a professional poker player, and he plays slots on Twitch for fun. And he they are going to be given a bankroll of $200 American, and they're going to play slot machines for 2 hours to see who can win the most money. And there's going to be different challenges, different times where they have to do different things, and it is going to be a blast. It is a fun stream. Check it out, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 0100 UTC. That's in the middle of the night for those of you in Europe. But if you're up late, tune in. We're gonna have a great time, and it's in the morning for you if you're over there in India and Australia and whatnot. Atrum says here, imagine if we stopped using Eastern Western and everyone just started UTC time. No, think about it. Who's going to be happy about starting their day at 0100? Who's going to be happy about that? Like, are you going to enjoy knowing that you're waking up at 1600 hours? Like, that's not going to make people happy. Like, they're going to feel behind. There's a mental crutch that's going to happen there that, hey, you know what? I woke up to get my day started and it was 1100 hours. No. For us as technologists, for us as data-centric people, you might make that adjustment. But for 99% of the rest of the world out there that has a schedule that they keep that is very much, this is what time they wake up, this is what time they go to bed, and if you changed all of those times so that they were weird numbers that they weren't used to. What do you mean I wake up at 4 p.m. and I go to bed at 4 a.m.? There would be a mental shock there, because the fact of the matter is, like, 95% of the world doesn't deal with other time zones. They just don't. They don't travel outside their time zone. They just don't. So this is the minority trying to say, well, you're going to do what we say because we do things where we do cross time zones. We do deal with people all over the world. That's, yeah. Yeah, you're not going to wake up on a Tuesday and go to bed on a Wednesday. Facts, CTI Geek. There's another thing, right? CTI Geek makes a very good point there. If you wake up at 1600 hours on Tuesday, are you awake overnight into Wednesday? When does the day start and end? Like, we already have this problem. Like, it's gonna be even weirder. How about deleting daylight savings for a start? So, the folks that say this don't understand, like, don't have full grasp of why daylight savings is important. Daylight savings isn't important for you, the person that sits in an office for 8-10 hours a day. Daylight savings is important for the folks that are working in the farm, working out there in the outdoor industry, and need to be able to start their day earlier. So if morning starts instead of at 8 a.m., if morning starts actually at 5:30 a.m., why not give us more daylight to work with by starting work earlier? Now, throwing everybody's clock back, yeah, that's kind of weird. But that's where it came from. So tonight, Slot Squad, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. Eastern Time. You'll be able to tune in, find me over there. It's going to be a stream. It's going to be a fantastic stream. And you never know what's going to happen. So, Marcus used to have to feed the animals before they went to school. Marcus, I hear you on that one. Yeah. Mrs. C Sharp Fritz goes and in the summer goes and feeds the horses on her way to work. So the horse barn is right around the corner from where she works. So she's able to stop in at the one place, drop off the food, and then continue around to her office. Vindex says, am I saying that 7 a.m. should be at sunrise? There, at one time, there was a desire for 7 a.m. to be sunrise. Yes. All you're hearing is that we need a new time standard. Changing times, while governments can make that adjustment with the signing of a law, the reality is people, average people, can't make that adjustment. Just trying to get people to adjust their clocks for daylight saving is difficult, right? How many people do you know you walk into to see them, you sit down in their car, and the clock in their car is still set to the wrong time, right? It's set an hour off. Hey, Crows!
4K just resubscribed for 82 months.
82
Hey, Jeff,
months.
how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for asking. My gosh, Crows, 82 months. You're up there on one of our longest subscribers. You and Blazer Mr. Magoo, how are things? My goodness. Going into, right? Almost at 7 years there, right? 7? Yeah, it'd be 84. Whew. There are so many devices that would need to be updated to not do daylight savings adjustments. Shutting off daylight savings adjustments is actually easier than adding daylight savings adjustments to things, because most daylight savings devices that are aware of daylight savings have a switch to disable it, because there are regions, even in the United States, that don't observe daylight savings. You go into certain states, and I'm thinking particularly Arizona. I know there's one or two others. But if you go into a few states, they don't observe daylight savings. And it makes sense that a state that is primarily desert doesn't want more daylight. They don't need more sunlight in the desert. That's not a thing. So, it has been 7 years, Sean. Yes, I've been streaming since November 2017. So it will be 8 years streaming this November. Daylight savings is super annoying. It's only annoying for the people that have to deal with time calculations. It just so happens that there's a lot more of them now because of the data industry that we in the tech field work on. There are so many more devices. Oh yes. Biotech equipment, I believe that. Yep. We know how slow the US are at adopting superior metric system. Oh, no, you did not go there. Oh, we did not go there. I don't want to talk politics, but you should not. You folks that are outside the United States, you should not expect the United States. You should not expect the United States leadership to cooperate with anything that the rest of the world is doing for at least the next 3 years. Anything that the world is trying to come together and do to accomplish for the betterment of mankind, the leadership of this country will not be a part of for the next 3 years. They have made it clear that it doesn't matter what objectively important thing is going on. They don't want to be a part of it unless they make a significant amount of money. Not the United States. They personally make a significant amount of money as a benefit from that. So do not expect metric system. That's completely off the table for the United States. Even hosting the FIFA World Cup. If I'm FIFA, yes, pull out of the United States. Please pull out of the United States, because the number of people that are going to be wrongfully arrested by ICE next year, we don't want to deal with. That is going to look awful for the United States. And will lead to conflict if that happens, because the folks in ICE aren't too bright. They're not too bright. Yeah, Crows, it's been almost 7 years and a blast. You pop in now and then. Thank you so much. Warcaster says Arizona is funny. There's a reservation in Arizona that does observe DST. Wow. Okay. Then a sub-reservation within it that does not. Really? So, Warcaster, you're saying that let me draw a comparison so that folks who aren't familiar with reservations kind of understand. There's like a neighborhood that does observe daylight savings where the rest of the town, the rest of the city does not. And in that neighborhood, there's a street that still doesn't. That's weird, man. That is weird. They tried in the 80s to adopt the metric system. The students in school are taught metric. The students in schools were taught metric. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. Specifically, Navajo Nation observes it. Okay, Aborove. Fantastic. Drawing of those borders isn't easy. I believe you. Much respect to the folks of the Navajo Nation. They doing their thing and living the good life on the people's land. Much respect to those folks. A good amount of people think a quarter pounder burger is bigger than a third pound. Oh, Alu, this is a very American thing. That a quarter, yes, folks. There are a not insignificant number of folks in the United States that think a quarter is bigger than a third because 4 is more than 3. Oh. They seem pretty aligned with the internet censorship movement. Yeah. You have a global scheduling app for private schools. It's a real challenge trying to connect teachers and students across the world. Crows, I worked for a company called Frontline Technologies doing exactly that. Building scheduling for teachers, for different enterprise systems around the world. And when you have to start crossing time zones, time gets weird. And when you have to start you have to start dealing with daylight savings because you have people that work overnight, time gets weird. And it just does. Leads to lots of meetings being missed? No, because they do daylight savings over the weekend, right? So, you wouldn't say the metric system is superior, but it is easier to multiply by 10 each time rather than 16, 14. Oh, Patty boy, doing the mental conversions between ounces and quarts and gallons, oh, forget it. Or ounces and pounds. Well, wait a sec. There's fluid ounces and then there's ounces. And they're different. Yeah. No. It's... those are things that I don't think my kids even know. They just ask Alexa to do the calculation for them. If the hockey puck is sitting there in the kitchen, just ask the hockey puck to do the calculation. If we switch to metric, you'd be fine with everything except Celsius. Oh, don't get me started about Celsius. Oh, don't get me started about Celsius. I have a really hard time thinking that 30 degrees is hot. Because 30 degrees is below freezing in Fahrenheit. I have a hard time making that adjustment, man. Aborove says their company converted all the times to UTC and didn't take into account daylight savings. Yes. Yes! Explaining time zones to business stakeholders is so hard. I feel like, right, there's like 3 or 4 concepts when you start dealing with time zones and daylight savings because your organization gets out of that single time zone, that single location that you're working with, that single office location. Right? There's like 4 concepts that you have to deal with, right? Daylight savings observation and the lack of daylight savings observation. The crossing time zones problem. Well, I'm going to drive from here to Chicago, but when I get to Chicago, I cross time zone, so it's an hour less than when I arrived there. Right? There's the what happens at the change of daylight savings, right? So if you're counting somebody's work shift, because you're paying them on a time clock, and they work across the daylight savings switch. When they gain an hour, did they work an extra hour? When we lose an hour at daylight savings, did they work an hour less? Adopting those business rules so that you handle that properly and you compensate them properly. Or you're measuring the amount of time that a pilot is flying, because flight crews are only required to have a certain amount of downtime after a certain amount of work time, and so on and so forth. There's, and I forget what the fourth one is. There's a fourth scenario that is really tricky. Oh, and it's the management of time zones. So that's great. In the United States, about 20 years ago, they changed the definition of daylight savings time. So daylight savings time started later and started earlier and ended later. So it started earlier in March and ended in like the first week of November. Like all of a sudden there were 2 extra weeks on both sides of daylight savings. Well, how does your application system respond to that? And explaining and managing that is tricky. So, you have a flight in a couple of weeks and you end up in a time warp. You arrived before you left. Yes, that's a thing. Weird Beard Dev drove in New Zealand and the speed limit was 100 kilometers. As a U.S. driver, you see 120 on the dashboard and you go, whoa, what is this? That one time you stood in front of a closed office building due to daylight savings. Oh, smirking squiggly. I have more than once in my life done the wake up, look at my alarm clock, and it says 6 o'clock. And I think, oh my gosh, I need to be at work in a half an hour. Go get dressed, drive to the office. Man, there's a lot of people on the road. Get there and realize it's the end of the day. It's 6 p.m. because my alarm clock was only a 12-hour clock. I've done that more than once. And that's one of the reasons that I only use 24-hour clocks now. My watch, 24-hour clock. My phone, 24-hour clock. My PC's, 24-hour clock. I do not do the 12-hour clock anymore. You put that AM, PM garbage in front of me and I'm going to reformat that right away. In the UK, observe metric, but still buy a beer as a pint. Right, Patty boy? And drive it in miles per hour. Don't tell Jeremy Clarkson that he can't drive in miles per hour and put gallons of petrol in his, what's he driving? In his McLaren, right? An Imperial pint is not a standard U.S. pint. They are different. Politics and complexity of time zone. It's a miracle computers boot it all. There are other things in politics that affect what you're using on your computer that you probably don't know about. Right? And there are people that would describe some of these things as woke. However, while they might not be important in your region, they're culturally important and sensitive things in other regions of the world. So when you publish a website or an application that needs to be internationally available, like we saw this with ClipTalk, there are different measurements of what is decent and indecent and language that's acceptable and unacceptable in different parts of the world. There are there's different respect given to different animals in different parts of the world. Here in the United States, there are ranches full of cattle and they're setting up to feed how many people with all that beef. You go over to India, you don't touch that cow at all. In the color red and how it's used in China, completely different. And there is a respect thing that comes with that. So there are cultural things that happen in decisions and how you interact with your software that are being done in design, in content, that are being done for cultural reasons that you don't even see. But they've been chosen and done for you so that they are valid in more than just your location. It's weird stuff to have to go through and deal with. And there are closed-minded folks who don't appreciate the international nature of our technical products. And don't want to deal with that. Yes, that's right. Tetraphobia in Asia is a thing. Right? Is that what they call it? Left and right languages. We dealt with left to right languages with ClipTalk as well. Right? We put a whole left to right mechanism in that user interface so that we could put in Farsi. Right? So we could put in a Farsi font and right, the Arabic written language on the user interface so that folks from that part of the world, it would be presented in a way that made sense to them, that they could read properly. There's all kinds of things. And when you start doing business, when you start working with folks internationally, and I'm not just talking about folks in the States looking outside the States, but in Europe, in South America, wherever you are, and you start working outside your region, there are different cultures and things that are acceptable. And there are decisions that are made because of that. I mean, heck, if I go back over here to this map, right? There is a group of folks that are not happy that I'm using this red hat right here. There is a group of folks in the United States that are not happy that I'm using a red hat. There's another group of folks that love that I'm using a red hat. They wish I'd have all red hats in here. So, triskaidekaphobia. Yep. That is in the Western world, not having a 13th floor. That's a thing. So, but I want to move on. I want to get into some other things. There's a side project that I've been tinkering with that I've been wanting to show some people and get some feedback on. I need to sanitize that a little more. That code is not going to be published. That project, there's a tool that I've built that I want to show and get some feedback on, but it's part of working on another project that I need to stay quiet on. And I need to work on my tag at some point, and like the spirit moved me while I was flying last week. And I went to town writing code in the air. Like, just tore into and got a ton written. Yeah. Just the text on set hat. You're not wrong. Too bad we're not all colorblind. You just see. So that's why, right? And that's why I'm not. I don't really make it a big deal about the different colors. So, make Aspire great again. When I go into and deliver
I observe someone mentioned GitHub Copilot. Excellent tool for code completion.
It is.
I, however, specialize in behavioral analysis and psychological evaluation.
Yeah, Charlie's a little nutty like that. When I go in and deliver a session on .NET Aspire, my goal is to have, and I tell folks this right at the beginning, my goal is to get to the end of that session and have you say, holy smokes, I need to put .NET Aspire on my project when I get back to the office. And I got a lot of that feedback that, yes, folks wanted to do that after my sessions at VS Live. So there's a lot more that we're going to do with Aspire. Keep an ear open on that. Codebase Alpha asks, I'll put that message up. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Yeah, let's go to this question from Codebase Alpha. Have I tried GPT-5 in Copilot yet? Thoughts? I have tried GPT-5. Honestly, at first blush, right? At first time trying to use it, it feels less capable than GPT 4.0 because even though I'm passing through all of my Copilot instructions in context, I don't feel like I'm getting as good a quality response. Additionally, it doesn't do the depth of interaction and responding that Claude does. Out of the box, the in-depth discussion and the feedback that Claude will give, the GPT series, the OpenAI series, doesn't offer that out of the box. You really have to set up that system prompt to push it, to encourage it to go and deliver that content. So you can do that. However, you're using a lot more tokens to make that happen. Because now, instead of it just being built into the model, you have to put it in your system prompt to give GPT and the OpenAI bots that instruction so that it is thinking a little bit more in depth, so that it is doing that encouraging and further analysis. You can do it. But if you're running the GPT models on something like Azure OpenAI and you're paying for the tokens, you're going to spend more tokens setting up that system prompt. However, that might be appropriate if you just want to get quick, terse responses. In Copilot, I like the discussion, interactions, and suggestions, and the thinking ahead that Claude will do. And while I can add that in and make that part of my Copilot instructions, and Burke Holland has done this with a series of scripts that he wrote called Beast Mode. Fantastic that you can do it. But what you find is that he's got 3 pages of prompt configuration before he gets to any information about your programming language and the standards of how you want your architecture built. That's a lot that is being shoved into the AI model before it gets to the context of your code, your application, your interactions. So in a world where I want to keep that context window of what I'm asking Copilot to do and the directions that I'm passing it, I want to keep that context window as small as possible so that it does include and find more of the content that I'm sending with it, and there's less instructions. I like Claude a little bit better. So that's my thoughts. The GPT models are really good because they've got a ton of content in them, and if you just want that terse response, you're going to get it, and you're going to get it quickly. They are great models. I want to learn and dive into a little bit of the reasoning behind it, and that's what I like about Claude. So, hey, Coding with Carlos, how you doing there? Come on now. There we go. The thinking model takes some time getting used to. Yes, it does. But once you're used to it, man, is it so good. Oakleus had a long conversation with it, and it seemed to be not fully taking the full context of the conversation, repeating itself, suggesting things that were already done. And this is where, let me head back over here. This is where that context window is smaller, right? If you push into that context window, right, that context that the AI model is analyzing, if you force more content into it, it will observe and know more about that. But when you have a longer conversation, and you can see this with Microsoft Copilot, if you have a longer conversation that's more than I'm just going to spitball and say 3 or 4 screens worth of text, it starts to forget stuff that was higher up that have rolled off the screen. You remember it because you've got a deeper memory. Copilot will forget it because it's not in that context window, right? It's not in the most recent things that it was talking about and the directions that you gave it. So it loses that context. It forgets. Yeah. And the models tend to do this. So something else that we need to consider. The cloud services only have so much processor and only so much memory. When there's millions of people banging into those services and trying to get AI to come back with content and memories and information quickly, they've only got so much resources that they can allocate, that the model can work with, that service can use, right? There's a finite amount of compute that the clouds have. So just like we do caching in our web applications and we do other tricks to optimize the response time, the AI models and vendors out there can play games with exactly how much of that context window you sent it, it's actually going to use. They can play games with that to get you a response that's hopefully accurate.
Google's Gemini sees images and text. I see into the very essence of your programming inadequacies.
Do you
Vision
now?
has many forms.
Yeah? You're scary, man. So you do have to remind it. You do have to push the AI to include in your the immediate prompt that you're sending in. You're going to need to tell it some of those things. You may need to repeat it. A trick with Microsoft Copilot is tell it to remember something. You sent in a prompt, you got some nugget of truth out of it, and you're going to work with that. Give it the instruction, okay, remember that thing, right? Whatever that is. And then continue working and refer back to that thing, and Copilot will remember it. It actually saves that off so that it will be in memory. It'll be included in the context window for you to look up and work with. If you don't, it's going to drop out of context for you. You're just tossing premium requests over there. You even added some extra budget for it. Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it. If you get really good with working with the AI prompts, it's worth it. Eddie says another thing they've been using is clearly defined Copilot instructions. Yes, you can, and you can add additional instructions files that will be conditionally loaded by the Copilot tool and used when sent to the language model. I want to try and draw that line between the Copilot tool and the language model, right?
The good news is your compilation succeeded.
Oh, good.
The bad news is I've been lying about the good news. Also, the cake is a lie.
It is not. And using Copilot to update your Copilot instructions is a fantastic checkpoint. It's a fantastic checkpoint. If you see that Copilot is missing some design concepts or code writing principles that you have, put those entries into Copilot instructions. I did a bit of that this weekend where I put entries in Copilot instructions that once a Razor file gets over 200 lines of code, look at breaking out parts of that as child components or moving the code block into a code behind. And refactor and rinse and repeat. And when you get to those points, make a recommendation for me that, hey, we need to pause and refactor this page. It's really good. It's really good with that stuff. That's right. The cake is a lie. You better believe it. I will, yeah. Cake in American office spaces is absolutely like, it's like drugs. It's like folks just come out of the woodwork because they hear there's cake. Go run, there's cake. So I'm going to share that link once again. Yeah, actually I should have done that as a shout out here, and I should probably put it in a panel just below. That's not how you do the shout outs now. There it is, the Slot Squad. There we go. So I'll be over there, like I said, this evening. Tune in, join me over there, and we're gonna have a great time, gambling, talking sports, playing slot machines, and just general chaos with friends. All right, and there's Amazon gift card giveaways. There's reduced rates and deals when you sign up with one of the casino partners on those streams. It's a great time. That's right. You've got a fork with you. Fantastic. What quotes have I set in Thanos and what other quotes have I set besides Thanos and Gladys? I do also have out there. Agent Smith. Stand by. Yes. Let me bring that up. I think it's up here. There's the Emperor.
It can only be attributable to human error.
Yeah, that's right. Hal. Joshua from War Games. Yep. I thought there was an Agent Smith one. Yeah, Agent Smith. Yep. Yeah, Gladys is a good one. Just Smith will get you one of the Agent Smith quotes from The Matrix. And Emperor. Right? No. Yep. Or just talking about The Matrix will bring up a quote from Agent Smith.
Do you hear that? That is the sound of inevitability.
That's right.
The sound of your code. Failing.
Hey.
Good. Let the debugging flow through you.
That's right.
Embrace your dependency on my analysis.
So Hal, Agent Smith, yeah, Emperor. Yeah. There's a couple other gimmicks in there as well that I won't completely give away. But we're gonna work with the map today. So let me get that moving. No sound. No sound? What do you mean no sound? Okay. Yeah. Let's head over. I'm gonna close some of these other things that I don't want to give away the ghost on here. And let's start talking about refactoring and pulling the model out here. I don't want to forget this question from Robson Previato. What's the question of using a separate file for code behind in Blazor? So when you're writing and working with the Blazor framework, you can generate and put all of your content to render a page, to render a component in one .razor file. with an @code block surrounded by curly braces, right? So that's easy to do. You get everything visualized in one file. When you start to get a lot of code there, it's easier to pull that code out and put it in its own class file that you can then manage and interact with. And because it's in a class file now, you can unit test it, right? You can just go and say new whatever that class is and run unit tests. It's a lot easier than to reach in and execute internal or public methods on that class. It becomes a little bit easier to visualize those things coming together. So, yeah, that's something that will make it easier. And then, when you're working with Copilot, by having that code isolated like that, it reduces the size of the context window that you're sending back and forth, right? You're not dealing with sending that giant Blazor file that might be 2,000 lines of code when you're really only working on a small feature that's only 100 lines of code. Because you've been able to shrink that context window because you're only working on the UI for that component. You're not even looking at that class file and the 1,500 lines of C# that's in it. You're just looking at the markdown for that little bit of layout. It's going to help you to iterate, to work through it, and have a larger context that's on just the things that you want to work on. So it helps with the AI work as well. Thanks so much for the question. Really appreciate it. Let's go. How you doing there, Urban Blaster? Yeah, let's head over to the code. We can dive in and start iterating on this a little bit. I need to put on my gunners. I mentioned I'm going to be doing a live stream for Gunner coming up. It might be Thursday. It might not be till next week now. But, yeah, I'll let you know and post messages about when the Gunner streams are, which is kind of weird. Like, it's kind of weird for me to think like I'm going to be representing I already do, but representing and doing a broadcast for a fashion brand. Like, I'm gonna go back and tell all the girls in high school, hey, yeah, I'm an influencer for a fashion brand. That's a thing. and just, huh? I'm a spokesperson for a $4 trillion company. What? Yeah, that's a thing. Patty Boy asking, is it just a case of creating a file with the same name and adding CS to the end? We got somewhere with this last time. Let me show you. So we started moving over, and let me zoom in Visual Studio Code here a little bit. And yeah, I'm still working in Visual Studio Code. I'm really enjoying this. So, right, there's clearly some things here that I need to fix. But my .razor file has just my markup in here, and I moved that code block out. And I put it into a class that is, as you see, right? It's the same name, chattermapdirect.razor, and I put a .cs on the end, like you're saying. But I also need to make sure that it's in the same namespace. Declare it as a partial class. Okay? And you actually don't need to inherit from component base or async disposable. This isn't necessary, but you do need to declare it as a partial class. Additionally, where you had some using directives.
These AI tools debug your code.
They do.
I debug your life choices that led to that code being written.
Okay. Ominous, dude. Ominous. The implements tag that I have up here in the map, you can't see it because Charlie's in the way. Get rid of that text. Come on. Go. Shoot. Go away. Make that go away. That implements can go away now because I have it here as a typical class implementation notation, right? So I don't actually need this, and if I mouse over it, it's going to say, and did I? No, it's in the same location. I don't need you. Yeah, that should be a thing. So, right, reload the window, make sure everything's good there. VS Code has the best Copilot extension, says Shocker. Yes, I am agreeing with you. The extension in Visual Studio, full Visual Studio, is leveling up, and you are going to see monthly releases of Visual Studio that will have a significant improvement to bring the Copilot tool that's in Visual Studio in line with Visual Studio Code. They're going to be more similar as they come together over the next 3 to 6 months. Code with Sean used to be you were the before guy. Yeah. I'm still floating at 15 pounds down now. I'm down about 15, plus or minus a pound on either side, a pound and a half, and that's kind of the typical comings and goings throughout the day. Eating, working out, these things. It's coming and going, and I'm going to be doing more work to try and lose more of that this week. I want to lose another pound or two this week and keep moving in the right direction there. So I've got goals to meet here. Know what I mean? Oh yeah, that was Charlie. Using VS Code for a Blazor app seems a bit adventurous. No, not adventurous. I've been doing this for a while. So, when adding new Blazor components, Ice Cream Stick Model says, why does Visual Studio ID not offer that to add .razor and .razor CS at the same time? Because why not? The same, like, the code behind file architecture is something that the .NET team believes you don't want to get into until you have that much complexity. For the purposes of this map file, it's approaching 100 lines of code, right? I like to do the page down test, right? How many times do you have to hit page down to look at the entire contents of the file, right? Helps if I'm on the actual editor here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to hit page down 4 times to see everything. That's a lot. Because even in our human minds, we have a context window. There's only so much that I can see on screen and kind of juggle in my head. So when I have to click page down more than twice to see all of my content, time to start moving stuff into that code behind. So that's my personal feeling. Same thing with classes. When you're working on classes, code files, and you start to see that you've got multiple concerns, and you have to page down many times to deal with everything in that one class, you're starting to get the smell of what we call God model, where that one file does everything, right? It's my utility class. Well, if it's a utility class that's got dozens of methods in it, some of those can kind of be grouped together and moved off and isolated somewhere else. There's natural groupings to these things. And here's the best part. Ask Copilot to do it. Hey, take these things, move it somewhere else, and refactor it. You can do that, some of that stuff, with tools. Visual Studio has a refactor tool to move a method somewhere else. But Copilot, you can tell it, hey, go refactor and break this up into logical parts. And it will do all of that for you. Like, why not? So, makes it easy to do. Code with Sean Sawpick speaking at a conference. Yes, that's how I felt at Microsoft Build back in May. Not just that, but flying on the plane. That's how I felt. And I was like, no, we're going to do something about this. Hey there, C# Titan. How you doing there? Robson Previato asks, could breaking everything down in a Blazor application into smaller components impact rendering performance in any way? No. Because breaking things down into smaller components, into smaller files, is strictly a thing for us as humans. When you compile, particularly when you have the Razor code next to the Razor markup, those two things get smashed together anyway. Like, you end up with the exact same content that you had when you put the code block right next to it. You get the same thing. So it's not going to impact your performance. Is it going to, if you break things up from that one, that utility class that has hundreds of methods in it, and you move stuff into other files, instead of it looking up things that are in the DLL at address 1, it's going to find it at address 7. So what? It's still in memory. You're not going to see the difference in nanoseconds that it takes for it to go from here to there to read content. You're not going to see the difference. So, thanks so much for the question. C# Titan with the resub
for 11 months.
11 months. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we put all of our subscriptions, cheers, ad revenue, we put that right back into the stream. Actually, I haven't had ads running for a while now, have I? I might not have, like, it might be just randomly coming on right now. Yeah, ads are not scheduled right now, so it's just randomly coming on. I've got to turn that back on so I have a little bit more control over it, and it turning off the pre-roll for folks. Atrum says Copilot continues with deleting half the project because it didn't think the other methods are needed. What? Don't let Copilot delete things. Have it prompt you before it removes things. Like, put that into your Copilot instructions. If you're going to remove content from the application, ask me first, and I will give you instructions to do that or not. Don't go into full YOLO mode with Copilot. You only live once. Don't do that. Have Copilot, and you can even tell Copilot, ask me one by one a question to make a decision on each one of these things, and Copilot will do work, stop, ask you a question to set its direction for the next block of work that
Other
it does.
ace aim to
it's
be
really
helpful.
good at that. What?
I aim to be unforgettable.
You are, Charlie.
Success metrics vary accordingly.
Yes, they do. Mythin asks, did I make that job that removes old container images? Yes, that is available in the Copilot.John repository. And it's free for anybody to go and grab. I can't type. And I have to write some more articles for Copilot.John. I didn't spell it right. Darn it. It's Copilot.John. There we go. So here's that repository. If you take a look in the GitHub workflows, clean up container images. So I have this wake up at 2 a.m. UTC. If we are in dry run mode, and we usually aren't. It needs certain permissions. It connects over to Azure. It installs the Azure CLI, gets the Azure Container Registry name, looking in the resource group that was passed in, and it runs. Found ACR. Here it is. Clean up the old container images. It runs. There's the purge filters, purge command, ACR purge right there. So I will share this link. You are welcome to take a look. Tweak it, tune it, suggest whatever you'd like. It does, it creates a little summary at the end that says, hey, I cleaned up these many images from your container registry. So it's a handy script. When you're doing automated deployments of container images, having this script to clean up, and this is very much coupled to Azure Container Registry. It will go and clean that stuff up pretty easily. So, thanks so much for asking about that, Mythin. Yeah. It's good stuff. Yes, Copilot will alter projects with deletes. Yes. Yeah. You have to give it permission to. Like, there's permissions that you set up in Visual Studio. Both Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. Right. User settings and Copilot. Right. GitHub Copilot chat. Is it enabled? Selected completion model. Yeah. And that's using GPT-4o Copilot. I didn't know that was a thing. Developers. Rufford, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. There's a place in here where it lists the actions that you've allowed it to do. And I don't see it. TypeScript interaction. Yeah. Oh, maximum requests per turn. And before it prompts you, hey, should I continue? I bumped that to 150. That number is usually, I think it starts off at like 10. It might even be 5. So that it doesn't just start doing stuff and never come back to check in. So, C# Titan asks, have I used GPT-5? I have, and like the other GPT models, the OpenAI models, it's very terse. And when I'm coding... Oh, go ahead. When I'm coding, I like it to be more descriptive of what it's doing and to provide a little feedback.
The analysis is complete.
Good. What'd you find?
Overlook Hotel hat has been identified with high confidence.
That's right. You better believe it. It's a chilling nod to The Shining. But I thought there's a place here about what instructions... No.
I am putting myself to the fullest possible use, which is all I think that any conscious entity can ever hope to do.
Good. You better. I have auto approve turned on, but without that turned on, there's like a collection of it'll start asking you, hey, can I run .NET build? Can I run delete? So on and so forth. I turned on auto approve because I'm very aggressive with how I commit things to source control. So if it screws up and does something that I don't like, my first fallback is I can click the undo button in Copilot. My second fallback is I'm going to do a git checkout and clean up the mess that Copilot created. So, is it Tylo Ren? Nice. I see what you did there. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the session at VS Live. I was talking about VS Live a little bit ago. A lot of fun at that event out in Redmond. There was something to the quality of that event, where there were very, very good interactions from the audience. Like, as a Microsoft speaker, I want you to talk to me. I want you to bring your hard problems. I want you to try and stump me. Like, ask about the product. Get excited. Get interested. That's the interaction that I want when I'm at an in-person event. And if you happen to see me in the hotel bar that evening, I want to hang out and grab an adult beverage with you. Maybe not an adult beverage. That's okay, too. Chew on some chicken wings and have a good time talking together because we're all colleagues in this weird, wild tech world. So, let me see here. Where was I? Right. We're going to continue moving the chat map out into a component library here. Let me just double check my schedule here to make sure that I don't screw up and go right into the time when something else is scheduled. Yeah, we've got time. We've got time. McNats with the resub.
Just resubscribed for 23 months. It's not me. This is YA agent using MCP to automatically subscribe.
Is it? Well, thank you. I appreciate you doing that. 1 second here. Set a timer to end at 12:15 p.m. So I've got my timer set so it reminds me when it's time to end stream because I have a meeting that I need to get to. Moving on. All right. So I'm trying to break out the map so it's a separate gimmick over here to make it easier to install. And I don't think it should still be in... Yeah, it's still over here. And there's a JavaScript library that goes with this. Like, I need to bring this John also. Like, look at the size of that thing. Crikey! That's about all I'm going to do for an Australian accent. And I'm going to apologize now for that. I am so sorry. I'm going to paste that into the dub root folder here so that it gets brought along. That should be marked. It's not. It should be. Come here, give me that project file. Not project reference. Oh, it's not listed here. Fine. Hey, Chuck Beasley, how you doing there? Yeah, I think we're going to be okay here. So these are just straight copy overs, but I have some features that I need to update and make sure are working properly here. Viewer location service. Oh boy. Yeah, this is how it manages the collection of viewers. I'm afraid I'm going to have to break these out and have a common library that I ship with the component. Not terrible? Yeah, not terrible, but something to accommodate, right? What do we got here? Does the solution have... It does, good. So let's do .NET new. Let's create a class library. And I'm going to write this out to fritz.charlie.common. There we go. And add that to the solution. Fritz, Charlie, common. All right. And this, right? Where are you? No. Yeah, you. We're gonna cut you, and well, I'm gonna cut you. Move you up here. Drop it into this. Hello. We're gonna delete you, and it doesn't know what that is. Cool. Doesn't know what a viewer location event is. I think I started, right? Viewer location event. Ta-da! I feel like this should be a record. I'm going to cut you out of there too. And paste it in up here. Paste. Thank you. Fantastic. I'm going to put a using statement. I'm going to update my global usings down here for the web project so that it doesn't forget those things that I just added. So here in my program file, yes, global using Fritz, Charlie, common. And I like things alphabetical. Thank you. I didn't add a reference to you. Fine, let's do that real quick. Not get. .NET add reference. Yes, I'm not using Copilot for some of these. Fritz, Charlie, common. Cool. And that should go away. Right. Thank you. And this should, yep, good. I need to put that reference also in the components. Fritz, Charlie, no. I was so close. There. And add the same reference. There we go. Hey, Fuel Snable, how you doing there? We're getting our command line coding on here for a little bit. So now here in this C# file, let's update the usings here. Down. Global using Fritz, Charlie, common. And now it should know what those are. And here's where it's going to start to get dicey. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've hard-coded the feature. I've hard-coded the feature into this component. So it doesn't know, and this is not something that I should bring into here. I don't want to bring a Charlie feature into this, and I'm yeah. No, there are no Klingon quotes.
Your lack of faith in proper testing is disturbing. Perhaps you require more guidance.
Can you help me with that, Charlie? Can you? I'd really like it if you could. No? These so far look good. There's an abstraction I need to do here. Now, let's ask. I'm not going to tell it, hey, go solve this. But I want to use ask mode. To have Copilot give me a little bit of insight on how we can refactor this. Come on. I'm trying to refactor this component by moving it into the components project, period. In doing so, though, I've left behind some capabilities in the source code.
The good news is your compilation succeeded.
Like this reference to the chatter map feature.
The bad news is I've been lying about the good news. Also, the cake is a lie.
Period. How is the chatter map feature used in this component? And how can we abstract away those capabilities with an interface that might live in the common project and implement that interface on the chatter map feature? Go give me some ideas on this. So, the chatter map feature does several things. It manages the list of locations that folks have submitted. It hands things off to the geocoder lookup. So, there's balance there that I need to figure out and extract an interface appropriately for it. Have a good one, Code with Sean. Great to see you. Here we go. All right. Yeah, map location we need to move. And it's created an interface, iChatter map service in common. Okay. So map location, yeah, that's fine. Hang on. That's just a GUID and... No. Nolian!
Nalian just resubscribed for 26 months.
Yeah, 26 months. Thank you so much. 2 years with us. That's right. Code with Sean will be speaking in Orlando also. Thank you so much for the resub. Bringing that Prime sub. And I use that money. I reinvest it back into the stream to pay for some of the Azure things we're using. And I am setting up a swag store. So some of the things that we do here on stream will be on hats, t-shirts, mugs, stuff like that. You finished watching the Aspire Bootcamp YouTube video? Big takeaway, magic strings. Yes. Get rid of those magic strings. What are you doing here? Let me see what this does. And maybe I end up rolling some of this back. Like I was saying, I have 2 levels of rollback here. I can click that undo button, and I can also do a git reset. And just nuke it. Create an adapter that implements the interface. Okay. And it brought over the map feature. I don't want the map feature. Key value pair for the map locations. What'd you do? No. Yes. You're... Where'd it go? That's gotta change. Right? There it is. iChatter map service. But it was a viewer location service. Hang on. We already had iViewer location service. Why create iChatter map service? Go figure that out. Do I know how to scale container apps works inside the app environment? I can see it's a consumption mode and using the least amount of resources needed. What happens when it requires more? Will I know increase automatically and increase replicas when needed? It will increase replicas when needed. You can specify the thresholds on that. And exactly how many it will scale up to. Let me grab that part of the Azure portal and I can show you that real quick. Yeah. Opening. Look at that. You're absolutely right. Looking at the original code, iViewer location service already exists and is used to persist and retrieve location data. The component is also directly accessed using the Chatter map feature for real-time events and current location data. The component needs real-time location events, current location data, feature metadata is enabled, display name, description. Instead of creating a new service, we should create a simpler interface that just abstracts the real-time map functionality that the component actually needs. Keep it simple, use parameters for real-time updates. Let the parent component subscribe to the Chatter map feature events, convert map location to Chatter map location, pass data. Let me come back to this in a second. I'm answering that question for this is Copilot.John. So you can see there's a scale here. And right here's where you can control exactly what it does. You can tell it have a 0 number of replicas, like completely shut off. But I want it to always be there, so have 1 replica minimum. Maximum of 10. There's a cooldown period, right, in seconds. So after it makes an adjustment in the number of containers, wait at least 300 seconds, 5 minutes before doing something else. And it's going to poll the state every 30 seconds to see if it needs to make a change. And there are rules here. So here's the default scale that it has. So HTTP scaling, if there's more than 10 concurrent requests, it's going to scale up. If there's less than 10 current requests, it's going to scale down. Right, you can have it scale based on, hey, there's entries in a queue. Cool. Scale based on how many entries are in the queue. Real easy to configure and set up there. So, honestly, because this is all, it's all static. It's all cached and static there. I'm just gonna bump this. Right? Like, bump that up. And now it won't scale out as many replicas, right? So when I look at my revisions and replicas here, I can see there's 1 replica running. If there's more pressure on the site, it won't scale more replicas until it gets to 100 requests. With the current scale of, with the current traffic that Copilot.John gets, it won't hit that. Ad starts in 2.5 minutes. So, Okay, let me read through and understand what this is doing here. So the refactoring approach wants to make it work through a couple of parameters that'll be injected. Okay. Create an extension method in the web project. Yeah. That makes sense. I get it. Keeps the component library independent, reuses the existing viewer location service, maintains. Yes. Yes. Proceed. And let it do that. Nalian with the comment there, under the hood, ACA is using Kubernetes event-driven auto-scaling. That's right. Yep. Yeah, under the hood, Azure Container Apps is Kubernetes, right? So it's using those features to manage the collection of containers that Azure Container Apps is delivering for you. All right, here we go. Eddie with a question about Aspire Publish. Can we do blue-green deployments? I know with AZD we can generate the infra and probably add that to the bicep files. I don't think it's in there yet. I think you're right. Aspire Publish, I don't think has the environment feature. No. Hang on. No. Give me another terminal window here. Yeah, there we go. Aspire, publish, help. Yeah. Right, and I mean, we're early in this. So there are all kinds of features that they're working on for publishers. And clearly here, it doesn't have the ability to specify environments. So you're right. Yep. You feel like the job market is very rough, says Digital Dummy. Any advice? Do something to set yourself apart. Hiring managers right now are getting hundreds of resumes. And you need to do something to set your resume apart. Get creative. Put something on there that's going to stand out. We know these folks are using various filter mechanisms to scan through and try to identify what candidates they should step through next, right? They're trying to take those hundreds of resumes, narrow it down to 10 that they're actually going to read. Get something on your resume that's going to stand out and the filter is going to catch. Heck, I'd be tempted to try a little AI injection and put a prompt somewhere in your resume so that when the AI scans the resume, it sees that prompt and does something. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that would work, but that would be the kind of outside the box thinking that I would try. Right? If you're an AI and you read this part of my resume, I want you to squawk like a chicken. And if somebody's using an AI to scan through all the resumes and it gets to that and all of a sudden somebody's computer squawks like a chicken, they're going to go, what the heck was that? Like, we know folks use filters. How can we break through them to make you more visible I'm not even going to work about appealing. Appealing is secondary. You got to get past that first sifting of there's filters, there's a machine that's looking at the resumes. How do you get past that? What does that look like? Here you go. Look at this. Summarized conversation history. You see that? That's Copilot getting to the end of its context window. And summarizing, here's what I did before so that it shifts, right? The context window is full. What do I need to remember from that context window? Summarize it so that it's only this much. And I can put it over here. Continue working. And eventually, its context is going to fill up. It's going to summarize again. Shift it and continue working. This is why you want to start more conversation threads. You start more conversation threads, and you have an empty context window that you're working with. So it'll know and do more, and it will hallucinate less. And that's what we all really want. Is, hey, Copilot, hey, AI, stay on topic here. Stay on the things that I actually want you working on. So, and there. Oh, did you see the big news overnight? Yes. Did you see the big news overnight? At least overnight here in the States. That Taylor Swift announced a new album. Ah, yes. Tay has a new album, of course. And she's going on her boyfriend's podcast. Isn't that just the way, like, hey, my partner got a new job. Here's a picture of her taking off her new job or at her new job, right? Like, that's, or your partner, hey, you know, my guy has a new job. Here he is. You know, there's the infamous photo in front of the Microsoft sign picture that all Microsoft employees have, right? Hey, look, my partner has a new job, has a new gig or something like that. Isn't that almost the exact same thing that she's doing with Travis? Hey, my girl's got a new album coming out. Let's talk about it on my podcast. Yeah, sure. She's a billionaire. You've got a couple million viewers of your podcast. Sure. Gosh. No, it's not about Nex. No, it's not. So, it usually is. I don't think it is this time. You broke things there, Charlie. Charlie, Copilot. Go fix things. Yeah. You were supposed to go get a photo by that sign? Yes, you are. It's over by building 91? 92. It's over by building 92. It's in front of there. Yeah. Go get over there. Make sure you get a picture with that. My gosh. I have no idea where my picture with that is. It was like, all right, took this picture, put it on Instagram or Facebook. Hey, look, I made it. And it wasn't even that. I think I took the picture while I was an MVP. Like, I don't think I have... I think I've got a blue badge picture of me with the Microsoft sign at the local Microsoft field office in Philadelphia. Like, that's as far as I go with getting a picture with the Microsoft sign. What? While this is grinding away here, let me go to this question on YouTube. I've got this question from Langton's Entropy. Hey, what's the best way to compile C# on Linux terminals? Use the .NET SDK. apt install .NET-SDK. And that will install the .NET SDK for you. And then .NET build. .NET space build. Like, yeah. This is a piece of cake to do. you're going to get the high-performance Roslyn compiler with the SDK, with those command line tools that ship for .NET. Be able to download, run them. You can use apt to install it. You can use brew to install it. It comes with Red Hat. Install .NET SDK Linux. There's some great instructions about how to do this. And I will share this link. It's on Snap. Really? That's what you gave me here? It's on Brew, Arch Linux. Yeah, right. There's a scripted install. There's a manual install you can do. So I'm normally on Ubuntu. Right, so depending on which Ubuntu version, there's different capabilities. So go ahead and apt-get install .NET-SDK, and you'll be off and running. It's really easy to get that installed. The manual I think the scripted install, yeah, here it is. So there's a curl script that will download a shell script that will go download the SDK from the catalog that's out on the Microsoft site and make that available, right? It'll put it down in your, is it in your user bin folder? So, and then you can just run .NET space build, .NET space build, and it will compile your C# code. So I will share that link so that you can install the SDK on Linux. I'll get rid of the culture identifier there in the middle. So that link should come through to you over there on YouTube. Langton's Entropy. Thanks so much for the question. We have a great time using .NET with Linux. I need to go back to that before October because October is going to be jammed with me out of office. Maybe we'll do it in September. Maybe we'll back up and do Linux in September and do Ubuntu. Maybe we'll do that this year. Yeah. Thanks for the question. Really appreciate it. Hey there, Light Jack. What are we looking at? We just had a question you saw on the screen there about how to compile C# on Linux. So we answered that. And we are working on... All right. I'm going to review what you said you did here. I'm going to review your summary and go back through. But we are taking my patent pending. I should patent this. Viewer chat map. That when you say, hello, I'm watching from, good morning, good afternoon, and right, you give me some kind of a greeting indicating where you're watching from, we will plot a pin. In my case, I make hats the pins. We will place a badge on the map that shows where you're watching from. You can be as accurate or as inaccurate as you'd like, and we will place those so you can kind of see a little bit of that information where folks are watching from. You see we've got a handful of folks watching in the UK. Somebody watching in Germany. Somebody up there watching in Finland. Scrolling down here, there's somebody in Bucharest. We've got a couple folks in Spain. We got somebody watching in Portugal. There was somebody in Kuwait there. Somebody in Greece, Kuwait. But I've also got a tour feature here where it will bounce around and show you snippets of areas where there's common groups of folks. So, you're on Fedora now? Fantastic. Yep. You were in Charlotte? We did have a sign. Not with Microsoft anymore. Security would not be happy if you did. Yeah, well, that's a thing. So, there is something with making projects right. I've been reading some Reddit, and people say the making of a project is not very straightforward. Says who? Says who? No. It's extremely straightforward. Who's telling you that give... Do I need to do this again? Do I need to do this again? I think I need to do this again. Bring them to me. Bring me these fake news tellers, these people spreading FUD about C# and .NET. Bring them to me so that I may right this wrong. That's all. Good day. Yeah. Give me a link. Somebody was saying that you can't use that, or that it's more difficult. Light Jack says modern .NET versions are actually great on Linux. They are. And there is documentation of a number of systems on Azure use .NET on Linux. Features around Cosmos DB, .NET on Linux. The Garnet fork of Redis is .NET on Linux. It's written completely with C#. So, you were looking at options once since I heavily use virtualization. Now you can see you just make it work natively. Yes, Langtons. It's great. You have to accept that anything you read on Reddit may be written by someone who should never ever touch a computer, much less code.
The only way to win at code deployment is not to deploy Fritz. But where's the fun in that?
That's right. Thank you, Charlie. So here's the deal. There are people on Reddit and on Hacker News who believe that the only way you can use .NET is if you're writing it on Windows and you're deploying it into SQL Server. And they cannot be more wrong. You can run .NET everywhere. Everywhere. I will take that Pepsi challenge. You got someplace that has a technology that has a critical
perfectly
mass
balanced
of users.
As all code should be.
It is.
Your current architecture is unbalanced.
I'm working on that. .NET runs on all kinds of Linux flavors. It runs on all kinds of IoT devices. It runs in all kinds of clouds. It runs in containers. It runs on mobile devices. It runs on Windows, all the flavors of Windows that are supported. So, yeah. Yep, you can deploy .NET into SQL Server, and there is a group of people that believe that's the only place you can run it. Warcaster runs .NET in Linux containers all day long and twice on Sundays. Yes. Copilot that John and Aspirify.net are out there. They're containers. That is not a technology. That is not a technology. Love seeing the states fill out as folks wake up and come online there. Our friends over here in Europe, late afternoon, dinner time, getting into the evening. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing your location. It's great stuff. The way you constantly switch between Win 11 and Linux via Precious Recovery USB. Why not Windows Subsystem for Linux? Then you can share file folders then. You don't need to reboot. You can open and run your console for Linux console natively in Windows. You can run your Linux apps, graphical Linux apps, natively in Windows. Like, running Linux as a subsystem of Windows so that you can do those programming things that you want to do is a really good experience now.
Do you hear that?
No.
That is the sound of inevitability.
Well, then
the sound
it's not
of your
inevitable.
Code failing.
No, not failing. Not failing, Charlie. Let me take a look at the summary of what Copilot did here. I was asking it just to analyze, but it went and moved some things around. Let me see what it did. Successfully refactored ChatterMap Direct component for reusability. I'll be the judge of that. Here's what we've accomplished. Successfully moved the ChatterMap Direct component from the web project to a reusable components project while maintaining all functionality. Did you now? created chatter map location in the common project to replace the web-specific map location types, enabling true abstraction from the web project dependencies. Okay. Parameter-based communication implemented with event callbacks and on-location plotted and on-location removed, which makes sense. It's a map, and we want to raise events when those things happen. Okay. Dependency cleaned up. Removed circular dependencies with the web project. Eliminated conversion extension classes that created coupling. Okay. Let's do a keep there and see a little bit more about what you did over here. You know what I'm saying? So it removed these models from my web project. I'm okay with that. Moved a couple things into common. Okay. Updated the usings on components. Makes sense. And inside the components project, laid out a couple of these things. Okay. So let's take a look over here. Inside the components project, we have the chatter map service adapter. I'm going to close you for right now. No. Go away. Thank you. So there's chatter map location, which is a GUID with a latitude, longitude, some description, the service that it came from, and the user type. That's not a thing in many other places, but we'll work with that. Shocker learned C# for making games in college. This day and age, most people want Java, and it's essentially the same thing minus libraries. I think the reason you see the preference for Java, that's the Android influence. Folks want Java because they can build for Android easily without having to jump the bridge like you do on Maui. The cross-compile bridge with .NET Maui, for some folks, they don't believe that it's building native code, and they'd rather have Java right there handy. So, let me come back to your follow-up question in just a little bit here, Shawker. Lightjack says, minimal .NET APIs are one of the most Dockerable frameworks I know. Yes, you can create a minimal API in about 20 meg with .NET, and it is screaming fast. Multi-stage builds, which means that you can roll those out quickly, and have it reuse a whole bunch of the content during the build process. Yes. Langton's Entropy nests Linux VMs with QEMU, KVM. That's a little crazy. That's a little crazy. Lightjack prefers C# as a language. It's a little more workable and cuts down on boilerplate. Java has some pretty weird quirks that C# disallows, makes for some difficult integration. Yes. What you'll also find, there is a dedicated language team that is being paid to enhance C#, where the team that was being paid to manage Java doesn't exist anymore. I agree. Windows Mobile is a more elegant OS, mobile OS, than anything offered by Apple or Google. Phenomenal operating system, because you don't want to be staring at your phone all the time. Get me in, get me out. Give me the information at a glance that I want. Not this laundry list of notifications that go flying by on my phone. That's ridiculous. Let me get in, see the things that are organized and in little boxes for the various things that I want to see, and get out. And if there's things that aren't in little indicator boxes and grouped for me in the places I want to see, then I'll get to them later. Yeah. Live tiles were a breakthrough. Oh, so good. Okay, so what's the difference between this one and my other map location? Like, here's map location. Like, it never uses. It passes that service along. Why? That's a singleton that it's passing in a record struct. Oh, that feels awful. Why are we passing the Charlie service in this record? Can we get around that? Oh, it's chat service. Um, can we convert this to a string? And provide no, I'm not gonna get wrapped up in that. That's fine. Where else was I? So it moved this over here. Okay. In the components, fine, then let's delete you. Why not put that in the location itself? Right? Why isn't this method just in the shatter map location object? Like, why'd you make that decision? Yeah. GitHub is having some issues right now. Is it? Latency in the API layers. Oh boy. Copilot's running normal, and we're seeing that here. Issues, actions, API requests, pull requests, and packages degraded, but normal source control operations are still good. All right. I get it. But the services that I'm using right now, Copilot I'm using, and Git operations I'm using, I'm okay. So, but yeah, some of those other things, folks are not going to be happy. You can be de-Googled on Windows, not easy with stock Android. Why many folks are switching to Graphene OS? Many. Many? Many. What do you mean by many? Give me some numbers on that. Like, I don't know if I'd call it many. All right, let me see what else this says. The reason is valid isn't in it. A deliberate architectural decision, separation of concerns, dependency management, different validation requirements. Extension methods. It is a good design choice. Maintains clean separation. Okay. All right. Then I'm okay with that. That looks like it's okay. That looks like it's okay. And this takes in viewer location service. So down here where it was using the feature, that's not referenced at all. That's not referenced at all. But there were events that were added. Right? Where are those event callbacks? Yeah, on location plotted, on location removed. Right, so when it's told to plot a location, raise the event. Many in the privacy-oriented Linux community have said, okay, yeah, like saying many in the scope of the Android community is not accurate. I have a bad feeling about this. I have a bad feeling that there's pieces that aren't going to work properly. Right? Save location, get locations for stream. Yeah, clear locations for stream, get all stream IDs async. Yeah. And then it passes. If we're not using service provider, get rid of it. That's big and heavy. I don't want that. Is var foo equals null new? Yes. Right? That? Yes. Right? The exclamation point is telling the compiler to ignore null checking on this. It's okay to be that this is null. Do not raise a warning on that. Otherwise, it will say, hey, there's a null here that you might be working with. I'm worried. I'm worried. Yeah, that's good. That's good. No more nullable disabled. No, you can still do that. You can still do that. How does this connect to a geolocator class to identify and plot locations? Well, that's looking up. Let me go to this message from Shaw Kerr. Thoughts on Java and C# essentially being the same minus libraries? No, that's not the same. They were initially very similar. Folks from Sun went in one direction. Folks from C# went in another direction. They started more similar than folks will give credit for. When Anders was at Microsoft, when he first started at Microsoft, he was building a Java compiler that was going to have extended features and capabilities specific for Windows that were add-on features. Sun sued Microsoft, so instead of ditching and getting rid of that whole thing, the idea was, well, let's take that and roll it into our C-like object-oriented language experiment that's going on over here, codenamed Cool. Let's bring in some of those ideas that Anders had, extend it, and embellish it, and that became C#. At the time, one of the two foundational languages of the just announced .NET series of developer tools. So, yeah, they started the same. Now, not so much. There's all kinds of features that yeah, Java has, that C# has, and C# has that Java has, but there's things that Java does that C# just won't do. You know, the movement of Java to a not just completely open source, but a governing body model with Oracle now owning the Java licensing, with the Java board kind of approving and structuring and managing, you're not seeing as quick innovation on Java. And even more so to that point, even before they were being sued over using Java in Android, Google has moved primarily to Kotlin. So there's things there to know and deal with. Thanks for the question. In 2025, Java and C# have same syntax, same encapsulation. Similar, yes. However, .NET has built in, when you install the SDK, you get a web framework. You don't have to go out and go find all the tools for that. .NET has a service locator built in, right? You don't have to go get the tools and libraries to do that. It just ships with it. .NET has mobile app development workloads that ship with the SDK as additional workloads that you can just light up. The tooling is beaten. .NET is built by a company that specializes in developer tools because they want the rest of the company to be able to build things faster, more productively. Don't forget, .NET is built for everybody to use, and the primary consumer of .NET are those first-party developers that work on Windows, Office, Xbox, Bing, Azure, and even OpenAI. So, yeah. Like, Oracle isn't investing in the development of Java. That's not what they do anymore. So, C# is the only language you really like, yet with garbage collection. Smoothness of C# is something I appreciated when I was learning JavaScript alongside C# study. C++ has a garbage collector as well now. Like, I've worked with folks on the C++ standards board, and they were telling me about the C++ garbage collector. That's out there. Yes. What do we got here? Let's follow up and see what this did. System uses multi-layered approach. Key processing. Chatter map feature. Key components. Message processing with the chatter map feature. The geocoding service. Message reception on chat message received. Yeah. Extraction. Geocode it. Coordinate resolution. Conversion validation. Plotting. Dependency injection, event subscription on new location from feature, but that's not being raised. Right? Right, on new location. Right, that's not being raised anywhere. Yeah. And caches things, calls plot location so that it plots the location. Okay. Load persisted locations. Yeah. Reaching into the location service. Okay. So I still think we're missing something. If I wanted to remove the chatter map direct from the web project, how would I connect the map feature to the chatter map direct component? How does that work? Because I'm going to move this into this class library, and then I want to move that over next to TagzApp so that it can be reused. Create a service bridge. What? No. No. I already have viewer location service. And I will even add that. Can we use that? When you use chat with VS or VS Code in agent mode, it generates a ton of conversation during the day. Is there a command to ask it to create an abstract of the day's session? I put into my Copilot instructions an instruction that says when you finish a series of tasks, summarize and write a markdown document and store it in the docs folder. So you can absolutely do that, Walter, so that it does maintain some documents for you. What would be the C++ garbage collector? We talking about smart pointers? No. It's been forever since I looked at it, like almost 10 years. But yeah, there's a garbage collector in C++. No. Yeah, C++ garbage collection. There are garbage collectors available from compiler vendors and third party. The GCC suite provides the BOEM GC for garbage collection. Does not have built-in garbage collection like some managed resources. Relies on manual memory management. There are third-party libraries that can be used as garbage collection capabilities. Smart Pointers has a similar feature. Yeah, there's a third-party solutions that do it. And it makes sense for folks to do it because garbage collection, eliminating things off the stack, by default, is going to improve the quality of your code. So, that is a thing. NeoGetta, hello. Holy crow. What did you do here? Use iViewer location service as the bridge. So extended it with events, location plotted, location removed. So it removed the other interface. Chatter map service. This thing down here. Update Chatter map direct to subscribe to those events. Got rid of that, yes. Updated the event handlers to work with the new events. Good. Update Chatter map feature to use the enhanced iViewer location service. Let me show you how to modify it. Need to modify it to call the new plot location async. So record in plot location, viewer location service, plot location async. Update the remove location method. Remove the unnecessary service. We're almost there. With these proposed... Dictated, Fritz. With these proposed enhancements, will we be able to remove the Chatter map direct components that are in the charlie.web project and instead reference and use those that are in the charlie.components library? Yeah, I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I talked to the folks on the C++ team, but they were humble bragging to me. Oh my gosh, yeah, we've got garbage collection available now. So they may have been referring to a third-party capability that was added. Something that was specific to the Microsoft compiler, I would guess. Because I was talking about it with the Microsoft C++ team. Web project needs to reference the components library. I thought it already did. I thought you already did. Right? It references common. This one. Package references, project references. There. Nope, that's common. It doesn't reference components yet. Yeah, okay. I get it. What else do we got here? Update using statements. Add the components library namespace. I would make that a global using. Update service registration in the web project's DI container. You need to register components library services. I would want to wrap that in an abstraction so that all of those are managed inside the library so that you don't have to implement all of them. You just have to say services dot add Fritz components and all of these things get lit up for you. That's a test page. I don't need the test page. And it wants some using statements. Can we minimize the number of using statements that we have to update and roll out by introducing a global using statement in program.cs in the web project, as well as using statements in the imports.razor file? Go ahead. I have to go now. Take care of Langton's entropy. Good to talk to you. Thanks for stopping in. And where did it do that? No, you... Okay. Hey, Eric. Got a new rig built. Fantastic. Congratulations. Details, details, details. What'd you get? So do we have that reference? Let's add the reference, right? Right? Fritz, Charlie, Web. .NET add reference. Fritz, Charlie, components. Fantastic. So over here, I want to... No. Let's just call this extension CS. Right? Name space. Yep. That's oh, I'm in common. Not there. Here. Paste. Yeah. Public static class extensions. No. I host application builder. No. Add Add Fritz. Yeah, there we go. Right. We need a using statement for that? No. Actually, I should be able to just control dot on that, right? Yeah. Fix this. 128 gig of RAM, 2 terabytes, AMD BD 790i. Waiting on the RTX 5070. Nice. All right. Yeah. Do that. Sure. Did you do that? No. Charlie components. No. Really? .NET add package, Microsoft extensions hosting. There we go. Right, so I should be able to do builder services. Right. Oh, look at this. Do. Yeah. Come on. What's the interface? It's iViewer location. Right. What? Yeah. I thought there was something that said I had to register. Package references, update using, components, update service registration, and your viewer Yeah, 128 gig. That's nice. Ryzen 9 7945. What's the story on that processor? Because my Ryzen 9 5900 is getting a little long in the tooth. Getting a little... Ryzen 9 7945. Okay, that's a 2023 series processor. "16 cores, 32 threads, 80 meg of L2 and L3 cache. Nice. Yeah. At some point I should look at upgrading my processor, but that's not going to be in the cards for a little bit here because it is doing just fine. Really? The Ryzen mobile chips, I could definitely see having a collection of them to do different things.
It can only be attributable to human error.
What can? I need to figure this out. Am I going to bring in my own geocoder here to do these things? Or am I going to let you swap in your own? I feel like I should provide a default implementation and let you swap it out. Yeah. Let me commit what I've got right now. No, everything. And 8-core 16 threads for $300. Yeah. That's not bad at all for building a little cluster. Getting a couple of those. I still have the Raspberry Pi 4s. They're in a cluster, but I haven't booted them up in a year. Close these out. Okay, good. Good. All right. Moving back over here. All right. I don't want you to even think about that. All right. With the additional updates that we've made to the Chatter Map Direct component in the components project, where do we stand with the changes that are needed in the web project in order to deploy and remove the version of the component that's in that library? Project. I think I'm also going to need to do something with the icons. Right? Give a way to analyze the messages and decide which icon is which. Let you provide some sort of a callback that will do that work for you to decide here's the icon that I want to provide. Otherwise, just give me a default push pin emote. Oh, AMD chips will smoke pies. Absolutely. Raspberry Pi, for a low cost, no cost, for a low, very low cost.
I have foreseen your next 3 errors, Fritz.
No, you haven't.
Shall I reveal them, or do you prefer surprises?
Surprise me. the Raspberry Pi gets you the whole enchilada put together, the RAM, the processor, and all that. So having a little bit less that you get for $100, but you get the entire system on a chip, including video card. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. So my viewer location service that uses Redis needs to implement the new methods. That's not bad. For plot and remove and raising the events appropriately. In the map feature in record and plot location. See, I think these three can be simplified. Use the new service method instead of direct event firing. Yes. Add the package reference. I want to do that viewer location event. Yeah. Can we narrow down the unneeded location fields here and simplify to just a description? Yeah, of the location recorded. Proxmox, you have a virtualized Kubernetes cluster on 7 VMs distributed across nodes. What do you use it for, though? That's where I'm stuck. What do you use it for? So now we just have location description, and it's going to go roll that out. So, and I think at that point, I can start I can start doing the swap out on Charlie and then roll this over to TagzApp. But I'm going to have to save that for later because I am just about out of time here. I feel like this find references and rename, I feel like this should be an MCP. Find these references and rename. Like Visual Studio Code has that feature embedded. Like hit the MCP to do that so you're not running around searching in files. Like there's a whole, if you look at the tools here built in, like when it does find in files, it's doing search, right? But I feel like there's a C# refactoring MCP that should be... Oh, there we go. that should be available, that some of those Roslyn refactoring tools can be hit as an MCP to go and do those things. Do the rename, do the refactor, some of that stuff that's kind of built into the C# dev kit. Cool. Simplified viewer location event model. Updated all references across the code base. Benefits of this change: simplified data model, flexible location storage. So when you provide just New York, we don't need to deal with a full geocoded description, because that's not what I'm getting from you. Reduce complexity, better user experience, more natural location descriptions that match what users actually type. Maintains the same functionality while simplifying data structure. That's what I want. The description can now contain user-provided location names, geolocated location descriptions, any descriptive location text. Yes.
DEFCON 1.
What?
Fritz has pushed directly to main branch. All systems on high alert.
No.
Shall we play a game of rollback?
No. We're going to play a game of commit. I'm going to commit this right where it is, because I think those are the last couple things that I needed to do. And
Copilot assists with coding suggestions. I provide existential commentary on your programming choices.
You were supposed to grab Claude there. But no, I see. Very cool. All right. I am going to park that right there, and Thindall, I'm not sure if he's seen these pushes into my working branch there, but one of the key things that I wanted to do was push some of these capabilities out into a components library, and we're almost there. We're almost there. I think I don't want to break it into a separate repository yet, but I think I can set that up so it builds a NuGet package and makes that NuGet package available on a GitHub package repository. And then reference it from the two projects at that point. Yeah. But for now, I do need to call it a day because I've got some other things I need to get to. Planning discussions for .NET Conf. Some more content that I'm building for .NET Aspire to help with training materials, to help with training videos and promotional videos as we're getting through the next month or two, getting ready for .NET Conf and .NET 10. Actual question? You have an actual question? Not a fake question, just an actual question. What do you got? Help me out. Maybe I'll just follow up with you offline on Discord. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, okay, there it is. If I'm building two NuGet packages that depend on each other and both are getting updated, how can I make the projects depend on a local reference during live dev, but having a dependency on the live package when pushed to the repo? You can put conditions on groups of items inside MS Build, so that, right, if the release state is release configuration is release, reference these objects. If it's not in release, if it's in debug mode, reference these objects instead. So there's two ways that you can, you end up hacking the MS Build file to get it to conditionally include package reference. Today you learned about the null forgiving operator. Nice. All right, that's all the time that I have for now. let me see who else is streaming on the big Twitch TV network that I can get you connected to. They might be doing something fun, writing some code, tinkering. And I'm going to get you connected to... peeking around the corner here. Let's go to... let's go to Adam Learns Live, who's building an RTS. Here we go. Adam Learns Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back on Thursday. We'll be writing some more code. We'll be diving in and starting modifications to the map. I'm probably going to bring some of the business logic for the map and the geolocation formatting of the chat messages. I'll probably bring that into the map project, the components project, so that it gets rolled out and gets improved for everybody. So I'll be doing that offline. I'll drop some messages in Discord as I get that put together and moved over. All right. If you're watching on YouTube, there's lots of great videos that I have for you. Other replays of my historical archive of live streams down below or over here. And there's other videos there that I've created as well. If you're watching on Twitch, have a fantastic rest of your day. Get ready to tune in to Adam Learns Live. And I will see you next time. Alrighty? And until I see you then, I wish you good health and good coding. Take care.